You would. The
Yeah.
Jawaness would
Got it.
freak on me.
Well, are you going to watch it with the audio now then?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it on the TV. Have it
Okay,
all.
great.
Gotta keep the audio low so we don't
Yes,
Would.
definitely,
kicked off the air.
for sure.
Especially with those opening credits and stuff when you hear the really cool music.
Oh, no, I'll keep it off. I have it all ready.
Right, people. So we are live on Facebook, and I am checking out the YouTube right now. So, Chris, you mentioned you had some people that were checking us out on YouTube. Yeah, if they just hit refresh right now, then right on that first screen, it's gonna pop up and it'll be the live video right there.
So that's the link I can post on my Instagram or my.
Yes, you can post youtube.com for everyone watching us who wants to watch us. Even if you're on the Facebook, sometimes the YouTube feed's a little bit smoother. So you can just go to youtube.com/the virtual Cantina network. And when we're live, like we are right now, that just pops up on the main page.
Done. Okay.
Oops.
Excellent. And for any of you who have, well, we're kind of skipping ahead. Hi, how's it going? Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So anyway, I'm your producer tonight. I'm Dave, and I'm joined by Mr. Jeff Solo down here co-hosting with me. And for this evening's watch along of The Mandalorian, we have not one but two special guests, performers on many episodes of the show. We have Leilani Shu, pointing the other way, Leilani, Jawa
Hello.
extraordinaire.
Hello.
And the High Magistrate of Droidness, as I like to call him, Mr. Chris Bartlett.
At the High Magistrate.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Hi, great to be with you. I'm super happy for to be able to watch this episode with you. It's very special, close to my heart for obvious reasons.
Okay, I'm going to start with that right there.
Yeah.
I think this episode is doing for world building of droids what Book of Boba Fett did for Tusken Raiders. I mean,
Yeah, that's a
just
good point.
totally showing us behind the scenes in the world and the lives of droids that did we really even know they had?
Right. Yeah, you get to hear kind of their feelings about being droids and how they exist among humans. So I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, that is definitely I think some of my favorite parts of the episode. And some people want to complain about, wow, where's all the Mando stuff? It's all about the droids, Mando. And I'm like, dude, they just gave us this entire backstory and what's happening in the Star Wars world with these droids, and you're complaining about like some screen time for the dude in the helmet. It's his show. We'll get back to him. He's got stuff going on.
It is his show, but it is a big galaxy, right? And sooner or later, we're going to come upon a planet that is run by droids, and so not to spoil anything, we'll be able to see something like that tonight. I love robots, but especially droids in Star Wars because, and I think that Bryce Dallas Howard, who directed this episode, and Jon Favreau, who wrote it, really they're together so good at telling human stories, and I was really surprised how human they made the droids in terms of their, how they perceive themselves and how also they feel about humans. Not to say all of them feel the same way, as we'll see, but I thought that was really special how they, can tell such a human story even on a planet full of droids. So,
Yeah, every time I see Bryce's name in the end credits, I'm like, that's why this episode was so amazing. It's like,
well, yeah, and
such a
she's
great
so
job.
fun to work with too. She's so joyful, isn't she, Leilani? She's
Yes.
such a happy to be in Star Wars, happy to be making Star Wars, and so that's it's always so much fun. She's very personal, like will work directly with you with your character, even though there's 40 other automated
Well, and you're probably not exaggerating for this episode. People are thinking 40 other. No, in this episode, probably kind of that way.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it was as a fan and also as a droid builder or costume builder. When we walked into that set, I was in freaking heaven. It was so great. So anyway, we can talk about it when we see it. But things to look for tonight are some incredible cameos, and not just among humans, but there's some other cameos that we'll look for too. I happen to play a couple of characters. One of them is a black RA7 or Death Star droid, and I also play a white protocol droid, which seen in the background here.
Yeah, it's right there.
Right there.
Reminiscent of I thought reminiscent of, is this the same model and basis that like Zero would be?
Yeah, so Zero's a newer model of RA7.
Oh.
So he has some of the same visual characteristics, the bug eyes and the triangle kind of, vocabulator, and sort of the little bit of egghead shape, but and also the chest has a special shape to it. But anyway, so he's a newer model. This is an older model, and there's a reason why there's older model droids on this planet, and they'll talk about that. Mm-hmm.
So very cool. And we will not be looking, we're not playing like, hide the Leilani. Leilani is not in this episode.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
He was in last week.
Because Leilani, tell us why you're joining us this week, because you were totally busy in Canada last week.
Yes, I was in Canada. I did the Rose City Comic Con. So that's my very first con in Canada. So now it's opening doors. Actually, I got a couple now lined up because of it. So, and hopefully Chris will be with me soon. Nice. So it's beautiful. Canada is very beautiful. And so the episode I was in last week, I couldn't go because I couldn't jump on because of that. But it's okay because I'm here to support Chris, and I love
Well, we love hearing your stories too, Leilani. We love hearing what your experiences of playing creatures and Jawas in Star Wars. So,
and let me tell you all a secret from the pre-show. Everybody that's watching is Leilani has not seen tonight's episode. Okay. And I want all of you to watch her reaction as a Jawa when you see all the level of stuff that's going on in this episode. So watch her face, and that's gonna be.
I'm excited.
Yes,
we are too.
Be the fun of it.
Plus, Bryce, it's fun, as Chris said that Bryce. I had her last season. This season for my cast credited one, I had Rachel. So it was cool to have two different directors, So, but this time I got Rachel, and she's awesome too. So I'm excited.
Great.
Very super cool. And I just want to say hello to everyone watching out there. I don't know if all of you are US based that are watching, anybody over in London, anybody maybe who just, finished experiencing the Boonta Eve Cantina, of which, Chris and Leilani are both veterans and were with us in Anaheim. But
that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. Yeah.
We're feeling a lot of FOMO over here for Boonta Eve just having happened today. It would be tonight if it was in the States, but obviously it's somewhere else. So it was already, started and ended, and we have a new winner of Alderaan Idol. Who was the top three, Dave?
Top three, I think, were Peter, AJ, and I think is it Trish?
Trish was the winner, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we will have video and things to show. When we do our wrap up tomorrow for Celebration Nightly News Day 1, and we'll add a little Bunta Eve coverage in there to make sure everybody's up to date.
Yeah. So if you are all experiencing the FOMOs that we're experiencing here, here's where you get your fix. Number one, if you are available, if you maybe at your job, or maybe you have Good Friday off, there will be live coverage on StarWars.com throughout the day tomorrow. But if you're unable to do that and you actually have to go to work and be productive tomorrow, join Jeff and I and Ashley Brienzo tomorrow night at, 9 Eastern, and that's
6 Pacific.
9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, 2 a.m. London time, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, it'll be in the middle of the night the next day in London, but they will have experienced it for the most part. So I don't know how many, you can always watch it after the fact the next morning or whatever. So, they'll have options, but it'll be a way for us to keep up to date and let you guys know what's going on in terms of the day's activities, the big announcements, and hopefully we'll have some cool things to show you that, will only be seen here in the Virtual Cantina Network.
Well, and absolutely, we've seen on the Virtual Cantina Facebook page that, Mandalorian-centered people are totally already there. We've seen photos from our
Big
group members tonight of both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni hanging out in the Excel, I think, stalking the VIP pre-sales for like merch. It's like, I don't know why those guys are hanging out in the merch store. Is somebody should be sending these people stuff. Okay. John and Dave should have all the things, as well as Leilani and Chris. Okay. Send them the stuff, people. Not that we, don't want to see them and have to come in and hang out with us to get it, but give them the things. I saw something, another Star Wars actor the other day who was like presented with their Funko Pop, who they had never had it. I'm like, why do you not have your Funko Pop? Somebody give it to them.
Yes. Somebody dropped the ball. Yeah, I saw some photos of people with had met Doug Chang today as well, which is interesting.
Love Doug Chang.
Yes.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy in person, and I've worked with him for years on these new shows, and he's such a collaborative person, super nice, and extremely talented and visionary. So,
well, that's a question I had for you, Chris. Is how much of Doug does a lot of the designing and the world building and the look and feel of the Star Wars. How much do you as a droid builder work with him and work off of his visions?
He is the creative visual the executive over all of it. So his hand is on all of it. And let's see, hang on. And so I've worked directly with him. I bring ideas. He brings ideas. He makes the decisions, and I'll just say I work directly with him, and he makes. I offer, like I said, I offer ideas, and he makes specific decisions based on those ideas. It's like some get taken, some don't, and it doesn't matter. We're all working together to make the best Star Wars we can, and he's just it's fun to see him on set, with a finished product. I think what's cool about Star Wars is it's not Star Wars without Jawas. And it's not Star Wars without droids, right? And so it's always fun to see both of them and on set, and so anyway, that's he and John also. John is also, and Dave Filoni are right there on hand, making decisions and making choices. And then sometimes Doug will create a concept. We'll take an idea and kind of redo it, and then have an entire new idea that may be inspired from other things, but ultimately it's a really its own thing. And so then we get to make that together too, and then create that character not only physically but also in the performance, and that's always really, really satisfying to do. And he's such a pleasure to work with.
Well, and I think that's what we love about Star Wars and the history behind it, because even this droid, this RA unit that you're playing this evening, this is based on a Macquarie sketch, isn't it?
Right. And early in the well, I guess for the original Star Wars, Ralph McQuarrie had done a concept of this character, and then we also saw him in the original, or these models in the original trilogy in Star Wars. So really briefly, these appeared in a chrome, silver chrome,
Yes.
in the Sandcrawler. And then there was a black one that I feel like we've seen in merchandising, but and deleted scenes, but I don't know. Oh no, there is a black one that walks right past, Chewbacca and Mark and Harrison in the Stormtrooper costumes. When they're about to get on the elevator, there's a black one that goes by really fast. But that's we have a lot of heritage visually in these characters that we like to remind fans of, that they have been here for a long time. So it's really cool to be able to bring this character, and this one particular, the first time we'll see him, is really special to me because there's a planet called Plaisir 15, and this planet is run by droids. And as a fan, and as a droid builder, and but just as a big fan of droids in Star Wars, it's a real honor for me to introduce Star Wars audiences to the first all droid planet. And I'm just really humbled to be able to do that. So you'll see in the scene, you won't miss me. He's pretty well featured, this character, and also my little counterpart as well. So we are kind of like a matching pair, like a Bizarro, C-3PO, and R2.
I like that. It's very classic kind of super.
I've been looking forward to this episode since we saw the kind of quick shot of the main kind of droid bar scene coming up. Spoiler alert! In the trailer.
And there's
trailer
something
was like, oh, look at those droids! Oh my God, there's a what? Stop it! There's a and
exactly.
Pointing out all the different ones is so much so fun to see them all kind of gathered together. Whereas we'd only seen that sort of in the Sandcrawler previously.
Right. And I'll when we get to it, I'll share a really special story about one of those in the Cantina.
Nice. But yeah, that was definitely something we were like, Chris has something to do with that scene.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
And I said in the pre-show, and I want to say it on screen as well, is I really think this episode is doing for the backstory and the world building of droids what Book of Boba Fett did for Tusken Raiders. Really expand the lore. They're not just this background character that serves this or whatever, and there's only not just one or two. Again, spoilers, droids are living their own lives. They're doing all these things, and droids have feelings too.
They're very sympathetic.
In the chat.
You're very sympathetic for these characters in this, specifically when that kind of scene happens where he kind of the bartender does his speech.
Right. You get to they have an entire culture all their own, especially when they kind of run the culture, and they explain why there's an entire droid planet, so we'll get into that. But it's really cool to see them as intelligences, and so I that was something that I really liked about it. Plus I love all the different designs,
Right.
and
Green.
Legacy Effects created the vast majority of all the droids that you'll see. The majority of them are puppeteered. There are only in the Cantina scene, there are just a couple of us that are living, and the rest of them are all puppeteered. But anyway, yeah, and Josh Roth, who's the the prop master, built some of his own astromechs, and it's just such a pleasurable scene to watch.
Well, your favorite Leilani is in the chat. Mikey is saying that he's correcting you a little bit there, Chris. This is the first droid run planet we've seen in live action. The Bad Batch has introduced us to a droid run planet before. Right, in live action. Thank you for the correction.
Clarification. Oh, Mike.
That's how Mike rolls. And Sherry's right as well. Well, they could, and they kind of have done a show where they're just talking about droids and their culture, though it was a little more lighthearted, the Saturday Morning Droids cartoon, which I grew up on. Right there with
droids.
Yes. Right. And and you can see the difference between animation and live action. Animation, the forms of the characters are way more stylized, the animation's more stylized, the way less details and everything. So when you take something from animation and take it to live action, you're going to see a lot more details that you wouldn't see in animation. And something I love about storytelling is in live action, when something happens for real, in our real life, and then you think of like years down the road, there'll be drawings of these things, there'll be retellings and retellings of these stories, and sometimes the stories get a little more embellished, maybe a lot more embellished, and so so live action is kind of like, this is the original story of what happened, and the animation are based on the original story. Does that make sense?
Well, see, here's where I'm going to disagree with you a slight bit. This is the wonder. This is the wonder of Star Wars, because at this point in Star Wars lore, we have both characters who were created and came into being as live action that have been translated into cartoons or animations or computer animations and translated back. But we also, in the Filoniverse, we have a number of characters that were created came into Star Wars as animated characters and are now being brought over into live action. So,
you're right, Dave. What I'm saying is, in the fictional universe of Star Wars, of real living creatures and people and droids, they all happened in real life, is what I'm saying.
Okay, in the Star Wars.
Yes, and then when you see something in animation, that is a retelling of something that happened in real life, even though we haven't seen that real life story in live action yet. Where it's still a story and it's still being told, it's just in another medium. So that's all I'm saying. Not to contradict you there. We're both talking about the same thing.
Yeah, we're getting down to the philosophies of the philosophy of the fictional universe,
fiction. Yeah,
what's happened and where did it happen, and which came first, and the world.
Right. Everything in the fiction, everything came first in live action. And so when you see C-3PO in that Droids cartoon, he's way more animated and way more bendy and flowy than he is in live action, right? That's all I'm saying is, so that's based on a real event that took place in the Star Wars galaxy. That's all. And Clone Wars,
stylized version of it.
Right.
When you get that
kind of
in Clone Wars
started on the Clone Wars shorts. There's where Mace Windu jumps 47 miles over.
Those original Clone Wars were pretty amazing.
I know. Right. And so that all I'm saying is that, we were talking about Doug Chang and talking about Dave Filoni. I'm just saying the visual representation of live action is way more detailed. There's more grit, more detail in it than in animation. And so if something has only appeared in animation first for us audiences, when you bring it into live action, there has to be a or what did this look like originally? And it'll have more, like, I don't know, characters.
Yeah,
we just
from last week,
more detail,
from
whatever.
last week's episode,
Yeah.
where they had to imagine what Zeb is going to look like as a
Thank you. There you
character
go. That's a
who
great
was
example.
introduced in Rebels.
Right. Way more detail in him, and his eyes aren't just big yellow.
To make that work, they couldn't have gone anywhere near what the actual character looks like. I mean, he has that same kind of silhouette, but he is very much, in that world, as opposed to just, a weird kind of animated,
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So
well,
that
we are getting to about that time. We're about a minute away. So if everybody wants to go ahead and make sure that you have the D+ machine queued up, that you are getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And as
chapter 22.
Chapter 22, and get there and go ahead and get right to the Disney Plus splash screen.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I'm, of course, slightly behind in that.
Mhm.
Here we go. All right.
Yep.
So, Leilani, would you like to do the honors for us, considering you are the only lady in the room?
Do it. Let's see, chapter 22. You're about
Chapter
to.
22.
Just need a countdown. We'll be good to go.
Okay. And so when should we go? Now?
Whenever
Right
you're
ahead.
ready to
Count us
press play,
down
give us
from
a 5.
5, 10, whatever.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Play.
Go. And away we go. Ooh, I love how far they took us back in this this recap here.
Yeah.
Back to
we forget how long it's been since we've seen I can't remember Sasha's character name at this point, but Sasha and Axe,
right.
How long it's been.
And that was one of the other Bryce directed episodes, which was interesting.
Right.
That kind of connection is very
well, and they had to tell us that bit. They had to tell us the one in Battle Wit.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things that kind of you gotta like spark everybody's memory there. Oh yeah, that, and oh yeah, that, and oh yeah, that. There's a lot in this recap, though.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of amazed at how many bits and pieces they were throwing at us again.
Yeah, essential parts to this story that have to.
Oh yeah.
All
Essential
stuff
things.
you have to know. I'll see as case in point what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a question over here. Ashley's asking in the chat, Chris, that do you get to obviously you're probably involved in creating more than one, but do you get to choose which droid you're playing, or are you kind of assigned that?
That's a good question. Every episode's different. Usually there's only one droid in the scene, but like we have in today's episode, there are several in one scene, and but particularly there are a need for 2 droid performers in one scene, and just like in the first episode of season 3, where Copper appears and the pirates are trying to get in the school, and one of my characters, the teacher droid, appears. I had to have a backup for that one because I was playing Copper. Right. Yeah, and so that will also happen tonight. But yeah, it's usually there's just one featured droid in the scene, and so that's
not a bad problem to have, I have to say, though.
What's that?
having multiple characters that you originated in the scene, and then just being able to play one, unfortunately, but having so many characters that you.
I wish I could do them all because I love them all. So, but it's also fun to be able to say to your friend, "Hey, you want to be in Star Wars?"
Oh, there you go. I want to be your
My
friend.
number is 919.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a plane right now.
I drive down the street. I kind of know where a lot of these locations are. So.
Oh, do you?
But yeah, I really enjoyed this part. Is another kind of world building as you're seeing this about, you know, this kind of waterborne species having that sort of thing. The ship itself gave me a little bit different kind of Fifth Element vibes. You know?
Well, definitely. I knew it was a Mon Cal ship immediately. Or style, you know, it had that total, like, it's like a mini version of their big cruisers that you see in like Jedi and stuff. But that whole captain's tank was really a cool idea, I thought.
That was cool, yeah.
And especially seeing them in sort of like their, you know, ideal environment, you know, swimming as opposed to being, you know, land bound.
Right.
I thought it was a clever little trick too, that like the chair was in there in the tank already, and the tank just went down, and you just sit right down in the chair.
Yes, yeah, that was very clever
combination.
And this was the misdirection, because I was expecting Moff Gideon right there. It's like, what? We got his ship back? What?
Yeah.
But also, you kind of had this feeling that they were a little bit more nefarious maybe than you thought they were.
Who?
The Mandalorians. But then we kind of get that cleared up a little bit coming up here. So
yeah.
But I don't know if have we seen a female Quarren like up close and personal like that in live action? I think it's usually the male ones that are more.
The males, yeah.
But it was good to see this batch of Mandos back.
Right, they're not following Bo. Right, they're privateers. They're mercenaries now.
Heard that they actually, it's like says pouring the fish martini in the tank was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and that is funny too. I was not expecting the fish at the time. I was like, are they just like pouring alcohol and adding it to the water?
Right. Right. Yeah. And something about Bryce's storytelling, it's always important for her to show love in a galaxy of conflict, you know, showing very human relationships. And it's also something really important for Grogu to see, because he's been nothing but, you know, survival and life and fighting and escape and all this. And so whenever he sees love, he really notices it, because there's such a contrast to his regular life. And we'll see that here tonight as well.
That tentacle thing was a little creepy, if you ask me, but
well, I was just going to comment on how I love how I assume the director is choosing to focus on the parts of them that are not human, but interacting in like a human way, expecting them to kiss, but no, it's the little tentacle things. You're showing the webbed hands and the webbed hands touching each other. Oh,
right. So much of the show is amazing, the way they do things, just as simple as that shot, the tracking shot of the ship coming in, where you get that bounce and that kind of like they're trying to focus in on it, but they're not quite on the subject matter as it goes, kind of thing. So I mean, it's like amazing they put that in there, and it's like something you don't think about normally, but it makes it so much more real.
Exactly.
This is fun too with the communicating with the tower, as it were, and then getting the.
It does have a very Disney World, Disneyland feel.
Oh,
to
that
it.
whole, yeah, that's like Epcot.
Yeah.
That, and also the announcement.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's a little tone.
Yeah, it's very much that kind of happy, sort of imposing at the same time kind of thing.
Yeah, the fanfare music.
Oh, Chris, I see you.
So
There it is.
this they're like trying to go one place and like, nope, you don't get to go there. You get to wait. And then you get to wait some more.
And then there you go, Grogu cuteness, just because you can throw Grogu cuteness.
What I love is there's so many, like you were saying, Chris, where he's sort of seeing things for the first time and reacting, to them, which is great because they do a lot of shots of him, sort of reaction shots. So you get that kind of whole feel, even if he's not the focus, he's still like in the background, like
right,
keeping out on stuff.
Yeah,
I think it keeps the kids going because when Chris and I meet like our kid fans, they get so excited with Grogu. And
I can imagine.
Well, I don't think they would get so excited with you as well. It's just kids and Jawas.
When I'm dressed up, they get so excited. They're like, "Oh my god!" So I think it's cool.
I love that variation of your droid. Sorry, Leilani, doesn't want to interrupt.
No, you're good.
That the variation of that droid with the like sort of chrome, almost like sunglasses that he's wearing with the contrast to the black.
Mm-hmm. By the way, that's the most vision I have in any of the droid costumes. It's like a windshield. It's so great. I love it. It's perfectly clear. Yeah, not tiny pupils to look through.
Yeah, whenever I see you at your table, it's always fun to see the reactions that you guys get with the kids, especially like you were saying, Leilani.
Yeah.
Kids love us.
I remember when we were hanging out at my Frank and Sons, and families were coming through on their way into the show.
They get so excited. I love it.
Yeah, this whole thing here, that's totally a cross between the People Mover and the monorail.
Right. Also a little Space Mountain there too.
It's got Tron vibes. I know people are throwing back to other 70s sci-fi like Logan's Run and stuff. All kinds of things going on. But that's more of the run later on. Spoiler alert. But yeah, this is very visually. It's so much. This cool show, all the Disney Plus shows are amazing visually, but this show is like so many more notches up.
Right.
So in more ways than one. Like the practical stuff, like this whole table of people here, is just amazing to see. And that's one of the things that I was kind of peeving on with Andor was the lack of that kind of diversity. Although there's plenty of diversity in that show, which is amazing.
Among the epic cameos in this scene, you'll also see Misty Roses, who's playing the frog right here,
there
sipping.
Frog. Is Dawn Dininger the Rhodian in this?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
There are quite a few Rhodians in these.
Yeah, she does.
Character, right? I seen her. I think she's playing a different character. She came up IMDb as something else.
Oh, okay. There's so many. It's very possible.
But it's awesome that they use her a lot, her and Tamara a lot.
Yeah.
And Chris, behind the scenes, it's great that they're taking them out of what they do for a living. They do legacy, and then taking care of us, and then they go on set. So it's
yeah, that's so cool. We were talking to her about that specifically, actually. That it's amazing that you have this job where you can create this cool stuff, and then it's like, oh, you can wear it too.
It's so cool.
Now you see how Grogu reacted when she said, "And we fell in love." Like he was genuinely like, "Oh, like what is that?" That's nice, And then he course, jumped into her arms. It's funny.
I'm waiting to see when we figure out, or how we figure out how much more that Grogu actually understands of what's going on than we really kind of see.
Yeah.
And then he can tell us that he knows what's going on. Yeah. Now, I am not gonna lie, when I saw the Jack Black cameo, it took me out of Star Wars a little bit. It's like, okay, wait. But he sucked me back in like really quickly. I was just like, oh, wouldn't this have been nicer if you just had some other character actor, somebody they would expect?
Or if he was covered up, kind of, if he was in like, sort of like Horatio did, with like, you could tell it was him, but he was, a different species. But I immediately, when they opened the doors and you could barely even see him at the end of the table, I was like, Jack Black, holy crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Just from his voice, right? And now, then I was like, oh crap, Lizzo's sitting right next to him.
Right.
But again, like, it sort of took me out of it, like Dave said, but they are fun. It's an interesting place they have. This whole deal they have to work.
Yeah, the way that he describes the planet, and actually they'll go more into more explanation later. They are living a life of luxury, and they are fancy, and they are like, they can be so, kind of over the top, characters, because they have no cares in the world. They're everything's being taken care of by the servants or the droids. And so I thought Jack Black was great in this role because, he used to be an Imperial officer, and now he's just living his best life. So he can be very, over the top. And I thought that was great for Jack Black.
See, I didn't know if there was like, if John and Dave, or you said John wrote this, I think you said, taking shots at himself as the life of a celebrity. That's why they're putting major celebrities as the people who are just living this opulent life and not able to live without their droids and their servants. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's that political or trying to make that kind of comment on life.
Yeah.
Let's just go kill some battle droids.
Yeah.
When we first saw Christopher here,
the other Christopher. Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Christopher number 2.
Right.
That again kind of took me out of it a little bit, especially since we've been waiting for the man with the DeLorean to be in the Mandalorian so long.
Right.
We heard the rumor that he was going to be in it. I was a little disappointed that they threw so much at us in terms of cameos in this short amount of time.
I remember filming on this day on another set and seeing on the call sheet right above my name, Christopher Lloyd, and I was like, what? I want to see.
That's the producer, right? Not the actor, right?
Right. No, so anyway, it was fun and appropriate that his role is in charge of the droids.
Oh yes.
As you just said there. Yeah. Yeah.
His red button.
Yeah.
I got one too, except for mine says easy on it.
There's the easy button.
Is that for Spence?
What's that?
Is that for Spence?
Nothing's easy for him. Sorry. If it said stress out, then that would be for Spence. Anyways, I love his rationalization, and he's gonna.
Well, and this is yet
safe.
Another one of, this has become like the Star Wars TV show theme, the epic monologue of a character right here. This is Christopher Lloyd's epic monologue.
Yeah.
You get the ones in Obi-Wan, you get the ones in Andor, and now it's like Mando here. Christopher Lloyd, this is live. It's the thought it's gonna get.
Paz's great monologue
Yes.
and Armor's great monologue, and we've had quite a few. So
So
is-
in this scene,
we need a
also,
Jawa monologue. When are we going to get a Jawa monologue? Oh, we
Right.
got kind of one in, not really a monologue, but when she talked to Obi-Wan. Different show, but
All
another
right,
great
tell us about this scene, Chris.
we see Ugnaughts that and we saw an Ugnaught on the pirate ship,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ugnaughts take great pride in their work. We learn, and this is cool.
Is that Misty? Right, that's Misty in the.
You'll see her in just a minute. She's the lead Ugnaught. Yeah,
Yeah. That's what I
right
thought.
there.
Because she
Yep.
was the Ugnaught in the last episode as well.
Yeah,
The pirate.
there she is. She's the one that's talking. Yeah.
It's funny to see the haircuts that some of these Ugnaughts have.
Right.
They're not what you kind of expect. You sort of expect the bald or the Huel.
Yeah, there's like
look.
male pattern baldness, and then some of them have a pretty healthy head of hair. Yeah.
Yes. The puppeteers are amazing. The movement that they get out of these characters is so cool.
Yeah, so look at everything she's doing with her eyes too.
Right.
And I mean, she's so good. I watched this episode with her last night, and it was really fun to she's just really talented actor.
Yeah, she has to do the true emoting.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's in a character where she can see.
Yeah.
Yes, not.
Yeah.
Well, this has already played one where she couldn't again because
Yeah,
she said
at least she was
can't
sitting
get a
down.
frog again. Or the frog
Yeah,
again.
the frog, she can't see anything unless the mouth is open. Yeah.
Right.
So this big droid city out, was any of this part practical, like the plaza that they came in on where you first appeared, or
Yeah, I
it
was
volume or
no, I was outside. That was filmed outside, and they build part of the landing platform, and then the rest of it is added. But this is I love this scene too. We've, the battle droids and the B1 droids have been repurposed to be load lifters, and we've all seen the the Boston Dynamics robots, where the
exactly where my head went when he started doing that.
Yeah, and we hear Matthew Wood's voice here.
Mm-hmm. Roger.
Yeah. So Mando is super skeptical here.
I love he's just like, his whole vibe here is just like, let me see something.
Well, this is just like every single one of your friends ever who is not techno savvy is like, something's wrong with it. Let's kick it. Just kick it.
So cool.
What's funny is
there you go.
Sort of how quickly it ends.
What are you doing? You want a droid uprising? This is how you get a droid uprising.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
And you're dead.
And then this is like that Will Smith movie.
iRobot.
iRobot.
Yeah. Another great film about robots.
Similar in terms of the chase scene kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy Celebration Eve, Hunter.
So how many hallways or actual streets and things like this were there? Was it?
We had one long street and two hallways.
Ooh.
You'll see the R8 black RA7 here in a second again. And there we go.
What's going on there?
Yeah.
And
a little R2 counterpart.
Mhm.
A little
R2,
there
right.
in the hallway too.
There he is.
In the little behind the a little behind the scenes movie magic is that, just like in the original Star Wars, you build a hallway, and then you shoot it from different angles, and you shoot it over and over, and it looks like it was a much longer, street. And that was so much fun to be part of that too.
Did you catch the little cameo of like the mod scooters?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
The end of the corridor.
Oh, that stunt where he jumps out of the window. That's real glass, and real stunt glass, but like, he really did jump out and land on the hard ground with no padding, and he did it probably 4 or 5 or 6 times.
So that was Lateef? Was that Lateef?
It was JJ, the stunt coordinator.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was talking to us when he was on about how much he'll do some of the harder stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Lateef does the fighting.
Right. There we
Brendan
go.
does the gunslinging.
And if it's hard on your body, JJ does.
Yeah. That is not easy stuff. I mean, there's a little bit of padding in the costume, but I mean, it still doesn't feel good to land on the hard ground, right?
Yeah, that looks pretty
so there's the white droid, protocol droid there too. So
walking down the street. Yep.
Different day of filming. Yeah. And then walk right by him and look at him, watch Mando looks at him. And we did that on purpose. That was Brendan and I worked that out. So
he recognized him from Navarro or something.
No, it was just like I made a point to look right at him, and but it was because we had just done that in Navarro, where we walk by each other and look at each other. So maybe it was maybe some of that.
But I could understand him if a droid actually focused on him, that he could be suspicious in the moment as well.
Yeah.
Because of what just went down.
And here we're in the droid bar now, the resistor.
Yes, this is great.
Well, this is where it starts to really tell you about droid life when they said the spark pad. And I'm like, droids need matchbook covers? Droid needs matchsticks? What's up with that? What?
Yeah.
It's advertising. It always works in a detective show to help track somebody down.
Right. He dropped the matchbook. Yeah.
Yeah. Classic trope.
Yeah.
Got bunches of them.
Yeah.
See, I thought that I was expecting, I wanted a little bit of the fan service for the bartender to go, "We don't serve your kind here."
There you go.
Mando flipped that around. Flipped that around and said, yeah.
I wanted it to be the over the top. Yes, I appreciated later the backwards, the way it was flipped around. They haven't seen our kind. I was like, no, I wanted it. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Get them to point and be like, "We don't serve their kind."
Yeah. But the thing that the bartender says is, you'll see it here in a minute. He says, "Humans created us, and they have such a short lifespan. It's the least we can do to serve them."
Yeah.
But a little story about the blue droid that you saw there, who was trying to leave. That was performed by my buddy Daniel Bowman. He was the one that I called. I've called him before, and we've worked together before on these shows. And there he is.
Yeah.
Droid.
Yeah, right. And he's getting tons of love today on the social media, because it is just such a beautiful color. And the way that came about was I was good friends with a C-3PO builder, or a fan who was a costumer, who I've known for years in just building protocol droids. And he had an idea to do a blue chrome one. And so he contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm working on this one. I got the head done." And I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." His name was Pedge Wadley, or Paul Wadley. And so anyway, I just, as the years went on, I said, "Hey," as the new shows came up, I said, "Hey, would you like me to put this idea forward to have a droid, this blue chrome droid, sometime in Star Wars. Wouldn't that be fun? And he was like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. Now, Pedge was suffered from a disease in America we call Lou Gehrig's disease, but it's called motor neuron disease in the UK. And sadly, he was losing function of his body slowly. And so he went from being a very active father and fan and costumer to being in a wheelchair. And so as we were working together, he sent me his head that he had chromed, and then I built all the rest of the suit and put that forward to the show. And Jon Favreau himself was like, we really like this one, we would like to use this one. And I said, great. So I let Pedge know, and just to keep it confidential, and he did. And then as I was building the suit, we were talking back and forth, and he was talking by looking at letters on a screen, and it was really unfortunate and sad. And so that's how we were communicating. And then one day I had a question for him, and I was writing him, and then he didn't get back to me. And then the next day I wrote him, and I found out that he had passed away while I was building the suit. So unfortunately, while he did get to know that it was going to be in Star Wars, he was not able to see it on the show. And so I communicated with his family, his daughter and his wife, and so we've been staying in close communication about this the whole time. And so I really want to dedicate this appearance of this really beautiful droid in Star Wars. I want to dedicate that to Pedge Wadley, a friend and a fellow builder. And I hope that, and I'm really glad that he's getting so much love, this droid, this week. So I really hope that Hasbro might see it and be able to make a figure. Who knows? But I'm really grateful to have known Pedge, and his, he always had so much fun costuming and was so inspirational, and did such a good job as a performer. And so I was glad that Dan Bowman was able to be the performer for this really inspired droid.
That's awesome.
A very cool story, and I hope Hasbro picks it up, because I would buy the heck out of that figure.
Yeah.
But there are those of us out there that if they don't, there's going to be a paint job put on a C3PO.
Yeah.
There's going to be some custom figs soon.
I've already taken my 12-inch droids and made my own custom versions of these, and so I'm already chroming a couple of them for myself and for friends and Pedge's family too.
Excellent.
I want one. That's cool. You know what you need to do is, Chris, you need to dedicate it. Maybe Lucas could dedicate it, like, to their what he has, what disease he has. Maybe
motor neuron.
Yeah.
Get proceeds, if Hasbro makes it, maybe get proceeds toward the foundation on his honor, though.
Yeah, that'd be neat. And so to be
ATS
to be clear about how this, that Disney wasn't aware of that story, because we're doing like schedules, we're building a suit, I'm training or finding, fitting, and training a performer. And so, they have a lot of other things that they're working on, and I think they would love to hear the story. But at the time, we weren't able to go into detail to share all that, just because we have little time. And so anyway, I hope that story does get told.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful story out there.
Beautiful.
And then here we are back to the Alice in Wonderland tribute.
Yeah.
This is definitely Evil Queen vibes. While you were talking about Pidge, we saw the white version of the interrogation droid from the original trilogy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Wasn't that neat?
That was very cool.
Yes.
And just
But then it went off, which was even cooler.
and more of the droid backstory that, droids are, C3PO, I think, mentions in the OT about taking, an oil bath or what they're going to need to,
Right.
keep themselves in good working order. Well, no, the droids are out there drinking. It's not like we're drinking alcohol. Well, no, we're drinking lubricants and stuff
Right.
that
Replenishing.
have programming in them to help us, our
Right.
programming not degrade. Like,
Yes, exactly.
They
want to
have
keep
to have
them.
their own midichlorians, really.
Well, okay, that's a little far.
I know. I just wanted to go see how far I could go.
No, but yeah, they're trying to keep themselves in first class condition, and also, we found in Star Wars fiction that when droids degrade, their programming degrades. Sometimes they turn to a life of crime or other nefarious activities. Maybe bounty hunters. Yeah.
Droids gone bad. We don't like that.
A droid gone bad. I wonder who might play that.
There's so much more interesting.
Already done that.
Yeah. Bounty hunters, bartenders, teachers, mercenaries, and protocol.
All completely bad influences on your children. Teachers especially. No notes. Do not email the Virtual Cantina Network. I can say that I'm a teacher. No angry emails.
I thought it was interesting how, well, I guess he'd been watching for a little while, but how easily Grogu was able to guide the ball through the
ball.
little.
Yeah, that's easy for him at this point. Yeah.
I mean, it's like he knew what was where to score and all that fun stuff.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying is there's more than he knows. Like, he understands the nuances of this whole game. He's not
right.
The tiny
this is classic. She's just like, I'm gonna knight him. He needs to be knighted.
And he's
now he's Sir Grogu. Yeah.
Sir Grogu, the Jedi Mandalorian.
Indeed. What I thought was also kind of cool was that that key that they gave him had the one end kind of gave me like the top of the Millennium Falcon kind of vibes.
Oh.
It had that kind of that rounded kind of textural thing, kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
A little bit like that.
Yeah, that voice right there, Chris, you're totally right. That's so Disney. It's like that's the mind the doors on the monorail.
Yeah. I was surprised it didn't say "Perme no interesan sabo, por favor."
Exactly what I was thinking.
Finally get to go see their pals.
Who by the way are really rough at it. They're just like chilling, sitting on some boxes on the lawn. Like they put up like a house or a bar or a tent. I don't know.
Playing ball, yeah.
I guess they're living on the ships, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically big RVs, right? It's basically like Venice, in Venice, California. Bunch of RVs parked by the beach.
So I don't know if you guys have been to cons where there's a company that sells soda, and one of their things is they sell you a really cool metal mug, and a lot of times it's like etched with the con name or whatever on it, and then you can get soda, all con refills and stuff. What the axe there was drinking out of looked exactly like one of those to me. So
cool.
I'm gonna have to see if they have a style similar to that next time I see that company at a con. But I thought it was kind of funny, the metal mug totally reminded me of that.
Now I need
actually, it's like you will see that shortly on Batu.
Oh yeah, it looks like a keg kind of, huh?
Yeah,
like
exactly. I have one somewhere. I don't know where it's not handy.
Well, now you have a prop replica.
Mine isn't quite the same shape, but it's the same kind of basic idea.
Yeah.
This is great. Get to see some of these weapons in action.
Performers, I think, were listed at the end of I can never remember her name. The stunt performer that played the female Tusken Raider. Who it is? I know her.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I never remember her name. That
Well,
and Jesse Graff as well.
Yeah, Jesse Graff was listed too. I only remember her because she was on American Ninja Warrior. But they all do amazing stuff. So it's very much an unsung hero.
Oh my gosh, yes. We need a an award for stunts. I mean, they do so much incredible work.
Truly,
And,
there should be like a whole award show just for stunts, because
I mean,
really need
to be recognized. Yeah.
There's so many, nuanced elements to different things that have to be done stunt wise that you could do more than, just a few awards. You could do a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, they should do area award, like for droids and like creatures and.
Oh yeah.
And they should do, because we do a lot of work. They should.
It's cool to see a bunch of excuse me, the ships that Bo flies. That I forget what the style they called it, but a handful of them, sort of, as opposed to just hers all the time.
Now, are those Mandalorian ships, or are they stolen from the Empire?
So the ones
big
with
ones,
wings like Bo-Katan flies, those are, I believe, Mandalorian ones that we see in Clone Wars and Rebels a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Those but the rest of the ships in this fleet are ones that like Imperial ships she's stolen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the one, the mid-size one that is in the background in front of the biggest ship was, I think, the ship that they took over with the help of Mando, where they're knocking the stormtroopers off the side and stuff. And then the guy bit on the little cyanide pill electrified capsule thing.
Right. So Mando explaining here is a great, important explanation of why she deserves the Darksaber.
Perfect justification.
It's like Mandalorian lawyering. It's like
right. I mean, she did defeat his enemy. Someone who defeated
that took the weapon from him. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we had when I saw that scene originally, I was like, well, she's got it now. You just lost it. You're because she picks it up and just starts going ham with it.
She goes to town with it for sure.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly valid sort of explanation.
Yeah. I like that a lot better than just take it. I don't want it.
Yeah, that too.
Well, but they've already said that whole thing is like why it didn't go well before, because Sabine just gave it to her the first time, and that's why bad things happened. She wasn't
right. Doesn't want to go through that again.
Mando lawyer. It's like it's kind of a thing.
She does look very comfortable holding it for sure.
Yeah.
Dun dun.
Yay, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes.
Good job.
I saw somebody in one of their shots of going to Celebration today. They were wearing a directed by Bryce Dallas Howard shirt, just black with the green on it, like the classic.
Yeah.
So I say the only reason we didn't see Leilani in this episode is that the Jawas just would have been having a fit, running around with all the droids everywhere, just freaking out.
Like a Jawa.
I want a little piece of that one. I want a little piece of that one. I want a little piece of that one. It's like, I'm going to need that arm.
Yeah, there you go, pulling a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mercedes, she was great. Oh yeah.
That was a great episode.
So last week, Lay, you were there was some crowd scenes that you were in, right? When they were chasing the pirates out of town.
Yes, and then
I remember seeing with who was there was at least one scene where it was a pair of you. Was that Ariel or was that somebody else?
No, that's Ariel and me. When we were,
cool.
It was our last day actually when we were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're there with T, Chris, everybody actually. It was cool. Emily passed by and she stops and so everybody looks at me like because because I'm really close to Chris, I'm close to Emily and Tate, and so have it, and they're all looking at me, how them, because they're bigger.
We love Leilani.
Everybody loves Leilani. Leilani's
Leilani, Mikey wants to know, have you ever played a droid?
I wish. I keep telling Josh. I wish. I'm hoping soon. I keep telling him. I keep putting it in his ear. I want to be a toy. I don't want to be a toy.
Yeah.
I want to be. Because see, I'm too. I guess R5 is too tall for me, so I guess I wouldn't fit in it. They tried to put me in the gonk, but no way I could fit in the gonk. My legs are shorter, and the legs are skinny, so like no way. So that's why I
need
ended
a
up
custom droid that fits Leilani's proportions.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, Mike's pushing for you to play Chopper.
I
Ooh.
would love to play Chopper.
Need some. He is a little squatter than let's like say an R2 or an R5.
I would love.
Could work.
More manageable as to puppeteer.
And he's got that attitude.
Yeah, attitude.
Right.
Leilani, the murder droid.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Let's put it in Josh's ear. I want to
There you
believe
go.
Chopper.
That would be fun.
There you go. This is who I was thinking of. Joanna Bennett. That's the
Joanna. Yes, of course.
She's amazing too. Those stunt performers are
such a great performer. Right. She's so talented. And so I met her actually on this season in the landing. Let's see. It was when the Mandalorians all came to Navarro to settle. She was there, and so that was really great to meet her, because under the helmets, when the helmets are on, you don't know who's out there. So so that was fun. Yeah.
There's lots of helmets this season.
Right. Nice variety, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Well, I still love seeing something that looks like my
Oh.
Wow.
I built.
Yeah. For the record,
I have
Jeff had that
the visor
first,
color.
The
This
paperwork
is
in. We're calling Dave and John on the carpet. Or Doug
this
Chang.
is totally inspired by Paz color scheme wise, but the fact that it looks so much to what it was actually screen used made me very kind of curious. I don't know. I had shown this off a few times, but no, I built this like right after season 1. And,
cool.
And I built this one and another one, but this one I loved the color scheme from the beginning. And then when I saw something similar to this, kind of more, it's an offshoot of Paz, that more traditional, Fett style helmet, I was like, wow, that is really cool to see on screen. They worked so well.
Yeah, cool. Well, this was really fun to watch with you guys. Leilani, it was fun to watch with you.
Of course.
And so was there any, did you guys have any questions or anything now that the show's over?
A few little questions in the chat is I think you've answered this one before, but we have a different group of people. Is thank you all, by the way, for joining us. It's a different kind of group of people that we have in the chat, because many of the people who watch along a lot of the times are in a totally different time zone at this point. But ask is Chris, like, what's your favorite droid to play?
The favorite droid that I've played is Q90 from season 1. The reason why is I got a really cool shootout in the streets of Navarro. Something I always dreamed of as a kid. Hey, there you go.
Got a really cool action figure.
This guy right here.
Yeah,
That's right.
amazing.
as a kid, we in the neighborhood we would make PVC pipe weapons and then run through the neighborhood, shooting it up like, I got you, and then you have to fall down and die. Anyway, so I got to do that for real in Star Wars, and then flying the ship in hyperspace was a dream come true. All the switches worked, everything worked, and I'm in the volume, so I'm flying through hyperspace, and then I got a really cool scenes with Grogu.
Oh yeah.
And then and working with him, he's as real looking in person as he is on television. And then I got a really great death, which every actor, hopes for is a magnificent death. So I got one of those, and I do all my own stunts in these as well. We talked about stunts a little bit. So yeah, he was my favorite. Also, I could sit down.
Oh, that's always a plus.
none of the other droids I can sit down.
Very stiff.
With Grogu, my legs were CG, so I got to just wear tights. And so I look really cool from the waist up. We'll just say that.
But you're comfortable for the
droid season from the waist down.
Comfortable, casual droid Friday on the way.
What I loved about that droid, that bounty hunter, was that he was so much a throwback to Zuckuss and Forlom from the original trilogy.
Ooh.
Right. Yes.
And that's where I was like, I totally connected to him there. I was like, he's another badass of this ilk, that was hunting down, whoever, in our original, 3 movies. So. Right.
Yes. Mercenaries and bad guys are always more interesting for me to play. I don't know. Just they look really cool. They always have better costumes, better equipment, or
they can sit down.
They can sit down, right? Having a blaster is always fun in Star Wars. Definitely. Leilani, you've had a blaster, right? You had a blaster.
Oh yeah, I did. Well, but I never get to use it. But yes, I did.
Carry it.
All my Jawas, right? Yeah, I had the Return of the Jedi first season. I had the Return of the Jedi one. It looks like a
big one that looks like a coffee.
Yeah,
a long rifle. Yeah,
right.
I had that, and it would drag. I had the rifle. It was as big as all the way to my leg, my whole leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have little and stuff. But yeah.
Right. Fun. Yeah. So Zero is my favorite to play.
There's a Jawa right there. Look at that.
Oh.
Aww. It's cool because I get all different types of Jawas. I've played the Off-World Jawa season 1.
Yep.
I played the Tatooine Jawa, and then I played Tika, and then we go back for season 3. We go back to Navarro, so we actually look different. People just don't notice that we're the Off-World Jawas again, but our outfits are different. So that was cool.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Ooh, I have one of those, except for it has somebody's autograph on it. Oh no, is that the one? That's just the Off-World one. No, I have one that says Tika on it.
That one's, I think, in a case.
I don't have it handy.
Waiting to get an autograph on it.
Yeah.
When I see you next.
Absolutely.
I was very happy to get mine autographed.
Yes. Here's another question. This is a question for you, Leilani. If you could play any character in Star Wars, droid, creature, otherwise, any character, who would you want to play, or what kind of type of? I don't know.
Well, I want to be the first Jawa with a lightsaber.
Oh,
I keep saying that because hopefully John hears. Because in a comic book, someone told me there is a Jawa that has a lightsaber. So I pray that I'm the one that gets it sometime in this universe.
That would be amazing.
Again, I want to see more of Tika, because I think I had a great time with Ewan. So I would like more with Obi. Droid wise, I want to be a droid. I actually want to be a droid. So I would love to be, like you said, Chopper, R5. I just want to be a droid. I think it's cool, and it's cool to be a toy like Chris.
You're a toy as Jawa. You're a toy.
I know, but I just be a droid.
Wants to be mechanical, I think is what you're saying.
Yes, it's a different set of animation than a Jawa, right? Yeah, the animation Very, yeah.
I want to
Mhm.
be a droid. I think it'd be cool. Or I
Yeah.
would like to be Gobru when he grows up, because
Oh,
I think Gobru is going to be.
Oh,
we have
So
a flash forward of
Thought of that.
Grogu.
Wow.
once he gets a little older, if they make him come to life, I would
Mhm.
like to be Gobru. I want to be
That would be
Gobru
cool.
because I always loved Yoda ever since I was a kid. So I think it'd be an honor if I was Gobru. But I'm just gonna put that in the air.
Wow, that's heavy
Would
duty
love
right
to.
there. I hadn't even occurred. Wow.
I would, because you know what? I like working with. I like working side by side Mando, which of course is mainly Brendan. And so, and I love working with Chris because usually when I play with them, it's usually them with me or Emily.
Mhm.
And I told Emily, man, I want to be a baby armor. And she goes, I know, wouldn't that be cool if you were like my dog?
Well, I mean, they have a baby heavy Mando now. That
Yeah. This is because because Chris will tell you, we have such a close connection outside of being on set. And so when we go on set, it's great being a family. And Chris knows that. And then so when we go and when we do shows or we actually meet, dinner and we do things together. And so we're really close to we're close to Emily, we're close to Tate, we're close to
Misty.
and
Mhm.
we're just close together. And I'm really close. Like we get happy when we see each other, especially at events and stuff. And we
Yeah.
just con together, and our faces brighten up when we see each other. So it's just we're really close. It's a big family, and I
I
love.
cannot imagine the shenanigans that would be with like that group that you just mentioned on like the same row at a con. I mean, I
Yeah.
was in Rhode Island last year and Emily was there and Tate was there, but they had the good sense to like put them on the opposite sides of the room. Like, no,
I,
a bunch of people in between. But
I
is
know,
it
and
all of you?
all be together because we actually did Salt Lake together, and the only one wasn't with us was Emily. She was in the artist role, and so me, Chris, Tate, we were together, right? So it was
Very.
together and hanging out and getting to know each other off besides on set, and it was fun. And so then when Em found out, she's like, "What do you mean you got you?" Because we had a panel, right? All of us had a panel together. Why ain't I invited? And I said, and she goes,
Just
okay,
come on.
what
Yeah,
time?
Move your table, drag it over here.
Yeah, so she
Yeah.
surprised them. So because of us, we were all on our panel. And then she shows up, hey, and she just breaks in. So, how close we are.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. And that's the comments and stuff that's in the chat is Christopher Colvin is talking about how, the current Star Wars family and how much fun it is to see you guys as a Star Wars family grow together and more members that we're finding out about that are joining in. You guys have known about who's been together in this core group for, a while. You've been working there, but you're in masks, you're in helmets.
Yeah.
We don't know. And that we're starting to find out about this and we really enjoy that. So thank you both. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What was there? Did you have a question?
No, that wasn't the question. It was just making the comment about how that he's loving to see that and loving
yeah,
the family is growing.
I love seeing Chris at conventions too. He's a super talented R2 builder and just a super super nice guy, very generous and always fun to see. And I love seeing his R2 as well, which is it's perfect. Like it just came off the screen. But yeah, no, we do a lot of conventions together, and that's always fun. We travel together, and we would love to have more of us, together. And so anyway, sometimes Leilani has like super exclusive Canada shows, and we're like Germany or something, and so anyway, we gotta sync those up, because droids and Jawas go together always, right?
Yeah. I just went to Bahrain by myself, and I was like, man, I want my family with me.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Things, and it was Stranger Things and another core group, and so I was the only Star Wars person, and it's like I miss my I miss
You were
my.
the queen there. Yeah.
I was like,
Great.
oh, family with me. It'd be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love being with my family.
But
It just
It
excellent.
shows.
Over here is
Look like you're having a lot of fun.
Chris Colvin says thank you. The feeling is mutual.
Oh, great. Thanks,
We love-
Chris.
we love him. We love playing with Archie too. Me and
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, and that's it. Speaking of conventions, I always love when fans come in costume. Especially Star Wars costumes. And then I try to work with them to like, let's bring your character out. Through the costume. And I think I've talked about this before, but you spend all these times, sometimes years, on a costume, and you get to a convention and you're wearing it on the floor, and maybe you're tired and it maybe is pinching somewhere, and someone says, and the 18th person has said, hey, can I take a photo with you? And sometimes we're just like,
Okay.
taking a photo. And so I'm like, hey, let's see how much of your character we can pull out of this, because you're more than just a costume. You are inside it, so you are bringing it to life. And so let's see that character. And so I've been posting on my Instagram that I go and collect characters at conventions, and I just love the effort and that everyone puts into their costumes. And some of them are, let's take an action photo, and they like totally understand the assignment, and others just need a little bit of help in that. And so I'm like, hey, this is I'm just giving you a tiny bit of direction. This is what it would be like on set, and action. And then they do it, and I film it, and then I show it to them, and it's really I just love doing that with costumers, because your character is really what you're building, not just a costume. And so it just takes a little bit of extra effort to create a character too. So anyway,
That's
I
be
love
a great memory for the
Yeah.
individuals that
Well,
come
and I
and
love that
talk to you.
you're doing that. Last year I took my niece to her very first Comic-Con, and she's very shy, very, very reserved, and wasn't really certain about how she was going to like it. Well, we built her a Halo Master Chief.
Wow.
We built from styrofoam and different
Cool.
rubber floor mats and that sort of things. And she is one complete person and very shy and doesn't want to do it till she puts the helmet on.
Yeah.
You put the
That's very
helmet
free.
on, and everybody in there is like, oh, can I take a photo with you? And it's like the flame sword is up and the gun is up.
Oh, nice. See, yeah. You see, when you see a couple of stormtroopers, or you see Boba Fett or Mando walking the floor at a convention, it only takes a little bit of extra effort if the two stormtroopers are, not just a couple of guys that are walking, but they're like walking, they're scanning the crowd, they're chattering
On patrol.
Yeah. Mando scanning, with his hand protectively on Grogu, or that kind of thing, as opposed to just a person in a costume. That's what I'm saying. So you're and everybody feels it. Like when you're walking, if you're just walking as a person, it's like, oh, there's a guy in a costume. But when you see someone striding or walking and scanning the crowd as Mando would, or as stormtroopers would, or as Vader, when I was doing cosplay, I would, as Boba Fett, I would team up with a Vader, and we would just walk and I would stay just a little bit behind him, and if he stopped, I would just glare at the people who were taking a picture with him, cradling the rifle, but just staying in character, and everybody in the room can see it. And it's so cool when people recognize it, because suddenly you get this little bit of like, oh, Star Wars is here. It's not just on the screen. It's like right here all around me. It's a really special feeling.
What I find interesting about that, I do some cosplay as well, like you saw my helmet there.
Yeah.
We just wore those suits out for the first time at WonderCon, and unfortunately, I was unable to meet with or see either you or Lay. I was very disappointed. We had some bad timing, so we didn't make it. But one thing that I find really kind of fascinating is when you have something like that, like the helmet, what you see is like you can see all kinds of things happening and people reacting and things like that you wouldn't kind of pick up otherwise because you're sort of, cloaked in this thing. And when I can see somebody's reaction to like, oh, look at that character, and then like, you see them scramble to try to come over and get a photo or something without them realizing that you're, eyeballing them per se, kind of. It's always a fun kind of, I can imagine you get that a lot in all the droids that you would do on set as well, where everybody's looking at you, but they don't know what you're looking at, kind of thing.
Well, I always come out in full character first, so that the cast and the background actors and the director can meet the droid first. And so I'll usually act like I'm lost, or is this a droid maintenance facility? Excuse me. And I'll look for an astromech or something and walk up and so or if I'm coming out as Q90, I'm just walking. Well, I'm wearing tights, so
you're imposing from the waist up. But yeah,
it's like
I try to walk behind things, but all the action's up here, everybody. Okay. So, but that's and Leilani, I've seen Leilani too.
Yeah, her as well with that kind of costume.
Leilani and Ariel, they have pure Jawa energy. Okay. So like on set, the first shot of the day and the last shot of the day still have all the same energy. And like all of us are like tired and like, okay, this is the 28th time we're doing this shot. Can we please remember our lines, But Leilani and Ariel are like, all right, and action. And they're like, total Jawa energy. I love it. And that's it's not easy to be encumbered in a costume all day, maybe in the heat, maybe in the cold, with whatever other physical challenges there are. Your back is sore, you have a headache, or you have to go to the bathroom or whatever. But we're not complaining because we're in Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Right, but yeah, being on set, it's also a chance to like rehearse because we don't get a ton of time to rehearse in our characters, so we kind of have to work on that our own, and so like in the scene where in season 1, the episode titled the sin, I think that was like episode 3. That was when all the Mandalorian or all the bounty hunters were closing in on Mando, and and we're all and then there's a shootout. Well, I'm still jumping behind boxes, like they say cut, I'm still jumping behind boxes and jumping up and shooting, like because that's the only chance I really have to like rehearse. I'm like, okay, this is how I want to do this is how I want this droid to feel snappy or bug like. So in between shots, we're still doing it in character. Yeah. And I love seeing Leilani like scramble across the set, because their arms waving just like a Jawa would, and her hood, is
very
like,
Jawa.
It's just like I feel like, oh, I'm in Star Wars because that's a Jawa. It's so great.
I'm sure that helps put you into the moment.
Totally does. Yeah.
Well, and then plus Chris and I, because we have a friendship outside of it, so when we go on set, we actually play with each other.
I was gonna say you're more playful, probably.
So it's like we go into character, but everybody asks, "How do you know which Jawa is which?" And it's because we all.
I know which
one personality.
We know all different.
Yeah.
And plus, we know each other outside of set, so when we get on set, we know. But we just come into character. Once you're in costume and they say action, we're just coming into character, and we have fun. Especially, I think, because me and Ariel are mother-daughter, so we fight. We do all the things that we normally do all set.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's my toy. That's my whatever basket full of whatever, or that's my purse. Or I had the.
That's the other show we want to see is a Jawa family sitcom.
Oh my gosh!
Like
we have the Wookiee
Jawa spin-off.
It's Jawas.
we had the Wookiee family and the holiday special. Now
I was
we
just going to say,
Jawa, the
it
Jawa
would
family.
just be in Jawaese. There would be no subtitles.
Yeah, right,
I-
right.
Boba Fett is
Figure it out.
like thing, and it had like all these sticky things that like it's like an Asian whatever it was, and it sticks to you, right? So I would take it and I would hit Ariel with it during Boba Fett because it was cold and everything was at nighttime. So when they said action, so I would hit her with it, and she's like, see that. And we would play with actually the droids because we knew one of the things Susanna was in a droid, like a what do you call it, like garbage can, or I forgot what it's called, but she was in this thing. So when they called action, because they don't really look at us, they're looking at Tim and Ming, right? So we're like, okay, they're like, man, let him go have fun. Okay, so then we would play with the droid. We would tinker with it. We would do all kinds of stuff to it. Well, Dave was behind, and he was laughing at us, and so they ended up using it. They're like, "Oh my God, you had Dave on the ground! You two are funny."
But that's real. That's real. You're using real interactions to create a character that then it just feels really real, not just like you're going through motions. Like when I see Leilani on set as a Jawa, I will run up to her in my droid costume and say, "Disgusting creatures," like this, right? And that reads as like, oh, that's what a droid would do, is like, get away from me. But really, I like just want to give her a big hug,
Right.
Yeah. And then they actually use some of our stuff that the interaction between me and Chris, they end up using it. So, which is great. Because they know, I guess they catch us.
We have to assume the cameras are always rolling, so it's really fun to be trying stuff, even if we don't know that whether the camera's pointed at us or not. I just always assume it's on, so we're just always trying stuff as actors. Yeah.
Yes,
well, it fills that world so much more when you have that kind of genuine thing going on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to somebody saying peas and carrots or whatever,
Exactly.
Peas and carrot, watermelon, Lamborghini.
So any more questions in chat? Because I can't.
I think we've gotten
what we got in the chat is just a lot of people saying thank you for being here and that we love watching you and what you're doing. And
comments and questions.
Yes, more comments.
No.
Okay.
Oh, totally our pleasure. I love it.
Sure.
And also,
great.
Thank you so much for watching too. We wouldn't have a show without people watching. So thank you so much for tuning in every week and also for coming to the shows, to coming to the conventions, that we can meet you in person, because when we're filming these, there's no audience. It's just like action and cut.
Unless
all right,
Dave's busting up in the corner, then you have an audience. But
what's that?
how often does that happen?
Oh yeah, right.
When Dave's laughing at
yeah. So it's really nice to be able to talk to audience or people who've enjoyed the shows, because we don't know how it's being received, when it happens, like we would say if we're performing in a theater, but so anyway, we would love it. And also we love it when they come in costume.
Yes. So yes, we do appreciate you. As Chris said, we love meeting you in person. I love meeting my fans, and Chris loves meeting his fans. And it's great to see you guys in costume. It's just great to your reactions toward us. Oh my God, it's you. So they get really excited, and we really appreciate you, and we really appreciate you supporting Virtual Cantina Network and all the networks that me and Chris are lucky to be part of. It's great.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you for so much for joining us. And if you want to know what's happening, what's going on in the world of Star Wars, and especially what happens tomorrow at Star Wars Celebration London, join Jeff and I tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Way too late in the day in the London. But to catch up on and the wrap up for everything that happened on the Celebration Nightly News. CNN.
CNN.
Right infringement. But join us for CNN tomorrow night, and we will let you all know the news of the day. Hopefully we get some cool stuff. Hopefully, you know, we hear about some more stuff that Leilani and Chris are going to be in. You know, maybe they'll announce some more Mando, some other shows that might have the opportunity for droids and Jawas. Thanks everybody for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Amazing.
Come on.